now let's evaluate a claim evidence reasoning statement and try to look at something that maybe doesn't work super well. So I've got one here. This is continuing our example of the delta H THC oral drops study for pediatric chemotherapy patients. So here's one that I wrote up. Children undergoing chemotherapy should not be prescribed delta 8 THC oral drops. The National Institute of Drug Abuse has reported more negative consequences in young adults that use alcohol and marijuana together. Therefore, to prevent negative consequences, children should not be prescribed delta 8 THC as part of their cancer treatment plan. So let's break this down. So first, let's find our claim. It's starting off at the beginning. It's that opinion that children should not be prescribed delta 8 THC when they're undergoing chemotherapy. Now, the evidence that's cited for this is a report that there are consequences for combining alcohol and marijuana in young adults. Okay. And then the reasoning that's provided is to prevent negative consequences, then in children, they shouldn't be prescribed delta 8 THC. So that is, let's write this out. So we've got our claim. All right, so we've highlighted the claim, the evidence, the reasoning. Now let's actually take a critical look at this. So we have a claim, and this part, the claim piece is usually, it's not like it's the opinion, right? It's the statement. So it's clear, it's straightforward. It's like, that part's great. Now let's look at the evidence. So it's a reputable source of information, and that it's published and it's peer reviewed, and it's based on a peer review article in the report. And we could look at the strength of the evidence by looking it up and the amount and the objectivity. But overall, we can say, okay, well, it seems like, at least initially, we can go dive into those sources more, that it has some evidence that it would be accepted within the scientific community. But does that evidence have anything to do with the claim? We're looking at the claim is about children undergoing chemotherapy, but the evidence is about young adults. The claim is about delta H THC oral drops, but the evidence is about marijuana and alcohol use in combination. And so we have different populations. Like it's not the same. And the evidence is really it is linked to an entirely different problem than children vomiting when they are undergoing chemotherapy treatments. And so and I did this on purpose to be a little bit exaggerated. It's easy to see, at least in this case, I think, that our evidence does not actually support the claim, that they're pretty unrelated. And the scientific reasoning piece kind of underlines this, right? It's saying to prevent negative consequences in children, they shouldn't be prescribed delta H THC. But our evidence didn't have any information about delta H THC, and it really didn't have any information about children either. And so the reasoning is lacking. And it helps us see kind of what's missing here. Now, when I just like in my consumption of media, when I see scientific claims or claims being made, what I typically see is an opinion or a statement like this, followed by evidence, and then no linking information, no scientific reasoning incorporated into it. And so you would probably just see those first two sentences like out in the wild. And sometimes it's really hard to see the link, like to tell whether or not the evidence really does support the claim. And I think we're so trained to just listen for evidence that when you see it, it's like, oh, check mark, there was some evidence supplied from a study, referenced a journal, cool, let's move on. But just citing a journal or just citing an article or a study is really not enough. Like, we really have to critically look at what's being stated and the evidence, and are they connected at all? And a lot of times they're actually not. It's, yeah, start paying attention to it as just like when you're scrolling through social media or when you're like listening to the news, especially when things are being reported on policy level changes based on scientific information. That's when you see it a lot too. Or like TikTok cleaning videos, you see it a lot there. So a way to make this a stronger argument would be to take that claim and then go and find evidence that shows a negative consequence of giving children delta 8 THC, right? Like it led to dizziness or something like that, like some sort of side effect, or just any sort of study that's based on the actual population that the claim is about and the actual compound that the claim is about. And that would really improve this.